Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 7 at Keeneland on opening day Friday. Potential prep for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It's the Grade 2 Phoenix. $350,000 is the purse. We take a look at this field. They're going 3/4 of a mile. 10 in here, Mike Bango, the number 7's just sort of had an underrated campaign, has he? He's been managed very well by trainer Gregory Foley. In his last 8 starts, they've all been wins or seconds.
Yeah, just in really good form. He's sort of been that horse all along, even going way back in his PP stand. He's just gotten better as he's gotten older, and now he can contend with these better, sprinters. They never really venture into the super tough races with this horse, but when they find the right spots for him, he's always there.
He's a tactical horse with a good attack post position. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and they have Bango sitting just off a contested pace. Dr. Oscar, the Minnesota Flash. I guess if he's here, he's going to go. Top Gunner, the number 5, also has speed. And Sibelius, in many ways, Mike, is kind of the key to this race. I'm not sure if he has the speed to outgun the other two, but I'd go for it.
I agree with you. I think he is the key to the race here because he has efforts that would make him super tough in here if he can show up with his good race. And he does want to be forward. So we'll see how fast this pace gets. I do kind of feel like a fast pace maybe works against Sibelius a little bit.
The number 1, Hoist the Gold, is another horse with very good tactical speed. And Hoist the Gold's last 2 races in Southern California don't look good at all. But maybe it's an illusion because his races in Kentucky are usually very good. Not only at Keeneland, where he was second in the Commonwealth during the spring, second in the Perryville at a big price last fall, but his races at Churchill, his races at Ellis are all good. Maybe just getting back to the bluegrass states, what Hoist the Gold's been waiting for.
Yeah, and his 2 races at Keeneland are both pretty good as well, Dan, including a near miss in the Commonwealth earlier this year. I mean, it's amazing to me that that's just how you laid out Hoist the Gold's PPs, because it's exactly what I was thinking when I looked at him, and I was just like, let's not be too hard on him for the 2 Del Mar races because maybe he just doesn't ship that well. His races in Kentucky are good. I don't know if they're good enough for him to beat this field without a little bit of help, but he could be there at the end.
Johnny Velasquez aboard for trainer Dallas Stewart, who can pull off big upsets in these sort of races. Manny was the number 2. He's the defending champion in this race. Remember, he pulled off a 17-1 upset in the 2022 edition of the Phoenix, and then ran quite fine in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, rallying to finish 4th. Now, he hasn't won since last year's Phoenix. Wayne Catalano gave him a long break coming up into this race. I wonder if it's a one-shot hope to get into the sprint.
Yeah, it probably is. I won't knock him too hard because, as you mentioned, he did pull off the upset in this race last year, and then he ran fine at the Breeders' Cup, even though it never looked like he was going to win that race. I'm not a big fan of his. Obviously, there are races on his card that would give him some kind of a chance in here, but I would rather take other horses.
Expect Corey Lannery to take him back, hope for a fast pace, and save as much ground as possible. That's worked for Corey in the past. Sibelius is the number 3. I'm a big fan of this horse, but I must admit, I thought everything worked right for him in the Dubai Golden Shaheen. Not only did he get a great pace-tracking, ground-saving trip, the rail opened up. It just seemed like the rail was where you wanted to be at Maidan on World Cup night. He hasn't returned as sharp in 2 races since the World Cup. Last time out in the Bing Crosby, though, up close to a pretty fast pace.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it too. I mean, he didn't run great in the Crosby last time, but he was involved until the top of the stretch. And then he just got really tired. And that was more, at least in my opinion, it was more of a closer's race there. So maybe that's enough of an excuse there. And off the layoff, 2 starts back there, they just sort of rushed him into another fast pace there, and that didn't work out. We'll see. I found it hard to fall in love with him in here, but I know he's good enough to win this race, and I want to use him if he's anywhere near that morning line price.
That morning line price is super, especially considering this looks like a class drop. I mean, the horses he was in against in the Bing Crosby, the Chosen Vron, all that horse seems to do is when Dr. Skyville came back, he won with a 103 Beyer speed figure last week in the Santa Anita Sprint. Gulfstream Way is the number 4 going out for Norm Cassie, and this horse looked like he was on his way to victory. Last time out at Churchill Downs, he swung up with a big wide move. He looked Bango in the eye. It looked like he was going by. He didn't. He ran fine, though, going 6 furlongs that day, and I wonder if he's just the kind of horse that's slowly moving forward. The other way to look at him is he's only 4 races removed from being claimed for 40.
Yeah, that's true. He did run well last time, though. I mean, I don't have any problem with the race that he ran there. He was only second best in that race, but he ran fine in there. It's 3 good races since Norm Cassie's claimed them. And so I'm going to take that as a positive. I think Cassie has this horse figured out, and he's got him in really good form right now. Doesn't mean that I love him in this race, Dan, but I certainly won't be surprised when he's around again at the end.
The five top gunner is going to have to do this off of a lengthy layoff. He was a close third behind Manny in last year's Phoenix. He's only raced once since then. Last November in the Bet on Sunshine, a race where he did a lot of work up front and then got tired behind Bango and Sibelius. I'm expecting him to show fresh speed in this spot, but you have to wonder if he does need one. He has one off the layoff in the past.
Yeah, this is a coming into this race off of a layoff. I don't think it's ideal, especially for a horse like him, who it feels like is going to be involved early in here. So if this pace is fast as Timeform US projects it, he's going to have to be almost 100% fit if he's going to still be around at the end here. His Bet on Sunshine was good. I didn't think he ran as well as Bango, and I didn't think he ran as well as Sibelius.
Necker Island won an off-turf stakes race at Ellis Park back in June. Got a really nice inside trip that day to score. He finished behind Bango and Gulfstream Way in his most recent start. He had to come from out of it that day, and his first start off a little bit of a layoff. Maybe he'll be sharper. Maybe he'll get a little bit of a better race flow. This guy's a millionaire that's a bit underrated.
The best thing that I can say about him, Dan, is I think that they've done right by him by over the last year or so is sort of concentrate on shorter races with him. I think he is better sprinting. He's going to need that fast pace to develop in front of him. If he gets one, I'll expect him to make some kind of run in this race.
Bango turned away Gulfstream Way last time out when beating three of these horses in that Louisville Thoroughbred Society last time out. His tactical speed is a boon. He should be sitting right there and in perfect striking position when the field turns into the stretch. And just look at those figs. Very competitive.
Yeah, that tactical speed you mentioned is just one of the things to like about this horse, but it's pretty important because if this pace is fast, it's really not going to bother him. He'll sit right off of it and still run his race. So that's a good thing. Man, I know it was close last time. He was awful good in that race, though, because the other favorite in there outside of him was that Cox horse, Strobe, and that horse went to the lead. So Bango just went right after him. And he put that horse away. Strobe finished last. Bango finished first. And he also held off the closers in that race, too. He was good last time.
The number 8 Nakatomi not only loves Keeneland, he's 3 for 4 lifetime over this surface. He loves a wet track, and he got it last time out at Saratoga, and it didn't hurt that he was able to skim the rail and scoot on through against a field that's not as good as the one he's going to be facing on Friday. But give Nakatomi some pace, give him a trip, and he'll fire for you on occasion.
Yeah, I looked at him the exact same way, Dan. I mean, I don't know that he probably has to run the race of his life if he's going to win here, but a fast pace helps him. A clean run into it helps him, as he got in this race at Saratoga. We're watching right now where everything worked perfectly. But even with a perfect trip, Dan, I mean, he won that race really easily. And I actually felt like two back on the fast track at your track, Pimlico. I thought he ran an underrated race that day.
Number 9 is Dr. Oscar. He's won his last 3 starts on dirt, all of them at Canterbury, and why not? He's a Minnesota bred, and here's he just toys with fellow Minnesota breds at 1-2. He wins by 6. His game is speed. He's going to go to the front. He's going to face some tough speed in this spot. But if you just look at Spire's speed figures, he's right there with some of the faster horses in this field.
Yeah, the figures say he's a contender in this race. It is worth noting that if you go back to earlier this year at Tampa, they did run him against Sibelius, and he ran his race that day, but Sibelius was just better than he was. We'll see if that's the case again in here. I'm not going to knock this horse. He's fast. He'll probably make the lead in here. It does feel like a significant step up in class.
The 10 Baytown Bear looks like a bit of an outsider. His last 2 victories have come at Mountaineer Park, and he was no match for Bango at huge odds in his most recent race, the Louisville Thoroughbred Society. He's the kind of horse maybe you just take back, make one run, and hope for the best.
Yeah, exactly. He's hard to make a case for in here, but it'll be a big price if you like him.
Voodoo Zip, the number 11, catches a tough spot for the dirt debut. All 23 prior outings have come on turf, and he's been a very likable turf sprinter throughout his career. He's earned a graded stakes placing. This is his first start off of the claim. I guess there is some dirt in this pedigree, but he's really going to have to improve, especially from a tough post.
Yeah, and he's also more of a closing sprinter as well. So see if that works out for him on dirt when he gets a bunch of dirt kicked into his face early. I don't know if it's going to work, Dan. I think it's pretty interesting though that right off the claim, this is where they run him. He's never run on dirt before. They claim this horse as a 6-year-old and run him in a graded stakes race on dirt. You mentioned his pedigree, Dennis Dam is the sister to Central Baker and Gantry, 2 really good dirt sprinters. So he's at least mildly interesting.
Let's take a look at our top selections for Friday's Phoenix. We're going with horses coming out of the same race, just different ones. You're going with Bango. Ultra consistent, fast on the figs, good tactical speed, just lots to like. Gulfstream Way made it close last time out. He wasn't as good as Bango, maybe the switch to Keeneland in a race with a little bit more pace helps Gulfstream way.
They certainly could. I'm just going to stick with Bango just because I trust him more than I trust anyone else in this race. And I just think he's going to show up and run his good race again. And his good race tends to be good enough, especially in races like this. I'm going to take him. I thought about Sibelius. I think he's interested in here at a price. I put him second.
7318 for Mike, 4973 for me. It's the Phoenix on a stakes laden opening day Friday at Keeneland. Best of luck.